Good morning from Lewes in East Sussex. This is Rouser Radio out of the White Hart Hotel, right in the centre of the town of Lewes. And welcome to join us. Why not? And a very good morning to you. That's our usual intro, Ben Sound Buddy. And it is the 24th day, Friday the 24th of June, 2022. The time is 7:37. And we were just a little bit late at pulling a Demanio this morning, but mostly because I couldn't find one or two things when I went looking for them. They said to teach me to put them away neatly the night before. Anyway, we start off with the newspaper headlines. BA staff to strike and Boris's Rwanda rebuke. The Guardian. Airport staff vote to strike as the threat of disruption widens. And all the unions are jumping onto the bandwagon. I had a little chat to my wise man, elderly gent, at the bus stop this morning, and we both agree that they're pushing it a bit too far now. The unions are running out of sympathy, and they're being silly. And working to rule is fine, but not on the days that you say that you're, if the train was abandoned or left in Seaford overnight, it should be in Littlehampton. Okay, move it to Littlehampton, but don't refuse to take passengers, which is what happened this morning. And that's absolute rubbish, absolute nonsense. And if you really want to lose sympathy, that's the way to do it. Personally, I have very little sympathy with strikers at the moment. There is time to strike and there's time not to. We were all very fat and sassy up until lockdown. Lockdown has created havoc that we can't believe, that we have not seen yet. Getting back to normal was going to be so ho ho ho. Well, it wasn't. It isn't. Airport staff, you want to, is to be quite honest with you. I'm really in favour of taking on people who would like to get a job and never could make it, and train them up properly, because a lot of people aren't properly trained nowadays. And that's not their fault. Um, British Airways staff have voted to strike over a pay dispute, and check-in and ground staff plan to walk out with the dates of the strikes later to coincide with the school holidays. Oh yeah, that's right. Take it out on the poor parents who have, were you're a bunch of idiots. You really are. You're a bunch of very silly idiots. Do away with public sympathy, and you've had it. You really have. Uh, do things sensibly to make the point. Cause a certain amount of inconvenience and disruption to show what it is that you do and what you're after. Sensible. Are you sensible? No, you are not, because you've got nasty people in charge. In fact, it doesn't matter where you look. Industry, unions, government, charities, hospitals. There are a lot of nasty people in charge. There really are nasty people in charge. And we don't deserve this. The average public do not deserve it. Now, I billed as being nasty. It's my work to be nasty, and I do it very well. I can be nastier than anybody on the face of this earth. Believe me. But I don't think that it's something that people should emulate. Get off the pot. Go back to work, or don't target the vulnerable. That's the point. Do not target the vulnerable because the vulnerable are getting pissed off with it and we're striking back. Air rage. Yeah, right. Who's that? The Mirror. Air rage. Uh, the paper reports that staff at Heathrow Airport backed the walkout after bosses refused to reinstate a 10% wage cut, which was brought in during the COVID pandemic. They may have a point, but do they have to spoil holidays to make the point? I think, having worked in the airline industry, is I know a little bit about it, and believe me, there are lots of ways that they can make life uncomfortable without targeting school holidays and the sick and the elderly. Metro, terminal chaos. The Metro says the move could leave holidaymakers stranded. Staff are planning to walk out in July and August. Yeah, well, you know, I look at some of these people now. I look at some of these people and people that I have to meet because I ride the bus or the train or whatever, and I look at them and I look at them in totally different light. And I think you assholes, you know, all you do is somebody says out, out, we need 10%, we need 15%. You don't think whether it's realistic, whether it's appropriate. You don't think at all. And I am being driven on trains by people who don't think, and that frightens the hell out of me far more than whether they get 7%, 8%, 10%. I don't want idiots driving my trains, driving my buses, driving my planes, driving my ferries. I want savvy people. And you're proving to be anything but, actually. That's what you're doing. The VA summer holiday strike set to cause turmoil at Heathrow. Yes, yes, yes. The says tens of thousands of holidaymakers face severe disruption during what is the peak getaway period. The action could hit 58,000 passengers at Terminals 3 and 5, the papers say. Never mind about Terminals 1 and 2. Financial Times. A summer of discontent fears rise as BA staff vote for holiday strike. God, they get enough perks. Believe me, do they ever get enough perks? BA staff. They travel around the world free. When they want to go on holiday, they just hop on board a plane. Yeah, it's quite easy. Quite easy. And they do it. The Financial Times headline says Summer of Discontent. Right, the Daily Mail. Boris's Rwanda rebuke to Prince Charles. With the pair set to meet today, the Prime Minister urges critics to keep an open mind on policy, which the royals have said was appalling. In other news, Boris Johnson is said by the Daily Mail to have urged the Prince of Wales to keep an open mind about the UK's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda ahead of their meeting on Friday. It was previously reported that Prince Charles had privately criticised the plan as appalling. Now, the Queen has, if she has this displeasure, she lets it be known. And she does it in a very stately way and in a very diplomatic way. Everybody knows, but she hasn't caused any feathers to be ruffled. Charles is quite different. And in fact, in any drama, is always represented as being somebody who talks to trees. I'm not so sure that that's not a good thing, talking to trees. What the hell do we know? We know very little about life. But the fact of the matter is dipping into policy is something which the royal family and the monarch isn't supposed to do, and he is going to be the monarch sooner or later, and probably sooner. His mother is not in the best of health; she's quite elderly. I think that we are going to see the end of a wonderful reign pretty soon. But if he is going to come in with interfering all the time, then I'm afraid we're in for a bad period before we get William. Actually, how old is Charles? Charles, he's in his 60s, is he? He could reign for 40 years. Right, the Times. Charles should keep an open mind on Rwanda, says the Prime Minister. The Daily Telegraph. Drive for green fuel to be relaxed. Right, okay. The Telegraph reports that the Prime Minister will relax the push to use green fuel, despite it being part of the government's net zero pledge. There were concerns the push to use green fuel could contribute to the cost of living, the paper says. The Daily Express. Judge slams his own court over secret Rwanda ruling. The Express reports that a judge from the European Court of Human Rights has said he was taken aback to discover colleagues behind the decision to halt a plane taking asylum seekers from the UK to Rwanda had not been identified. Judge Latif Husinau said it was a public decision, so the name of the judge should be published. The Sun, Queen back in the saddle. Well, after all I've just said, she's been seen riding a horse again. The Sun reports what it calls a remarkable comeback that will cheer the nation. The monarch has been forgetting trips in Windsor. In Windsor, the paper says, some 9 months after she was said to quit horse riding. And how's my favourite star? Oh, let's have a look at my favourite star. If this isn't creepy, we don't know what it is. It says, Alexa brings Granny back from the dead. The Daily Star reports that Alexa, the virtual assistant technology, is set to add raising the dead to its list of household tasks. The paper says it will soon be capable of resurrecting voices of loved ones who have died. Wow. Wow. Is there no end to this? Is how the Daily Express responds to the news that BA check-in staff at Heathrow have voted to go on strike. And I would be very sympathetic to that situation. Right. Let's now with your get up. I like this one, I think. Right, another nice day. Not supposed to be cooling down, but as the uh, lovely Jane said when she greeted me this morning, is she still feels huffy and puffy because of the heat, and it is still, if you don't like heat, uncomfortable, and that makes us irritable. So, am I irritable? Of course, I'm irritable. I was born irritable, and I've stayed irritable, and I'm likely to be irritable for the rest of my life, whether that's a long time or a short time. There's mm, yes, indeed. So here we are. There's Rouser. Radio is on a feed to Mirador this morning, so you can see what we're all about in oh, unknown number. Never mind. We're still having our problems with the phones. Yes, just my warning. For God's sake, stay away from O2 if you possibly can. It's a dreadful company, just dreadful. It doesn't have any human beings in charge or doing anything really. It's all done by computers, and you know what that's like. If you don't know your password, you had it. You don't even get to first base. And if you do know your password, all you do is privileges. Press one, press two, press three. Or take a look at my O2. You can manage it. Well, I pay you to manage it, for God's sake. You just throw it back at me to save more money. Get stuffed. You're an awful company. Just awful. I'm not that reliable either. Oh, yes, we're really getting going this morning, aren't we? The newspapers are a mixed bag, really, all about the possibility of a summer of discontent. And what the hell? You know, we've just gone through some uncomfortable years. If the unions want to add to that, then don't expect me particularly, but a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of people in the day to get a sounding for how the public thing is. Don't expect us to be sympathetic because you're making a third year uncomfortable. We have no, you've got exactly the same problems as the rest of us, for God's sake. So what do? You pummel us. You idiots. You are born idiots. And people who are in charge of unions are more idiotic than most, believe me. And not only that, they are more dogmatic than most. They don't bend to anything. And not only that, they're not nice with it. If you've ever had to deal with a union person, is they are not at all nice. I'll warn you now. Don't tangle with them. Let them know through people like us. We don't want to tangle with them either, but it's nonetheless, somebody's got to tangle with them, so I guess it falls to us. Ah, it's 7:54. It is 7:54. It's very nice out there, very pleasant again. And we don't have any threat of thunderstorms today, as far as I'm aware. I didn't see any warning. Um, we can find out, of course, and we will find out. Um, let's see. Let's see. Yes. Well, it's going to be 20 degrees today in Lewis and locally. At 9 o'clock, it's not 9 o'clock yet. What is it? No, it's 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, it's going to be 17 degrees, rising to the high of 20 later in the day. A light cloud and a moderate breeze. Yeah, light cloud. It's not going to be as sunny as it has been, although some good outbreaks of sun in mid-afternoon, which is when you really want it, isn't it? It's at 1 o'clock to about 5 o'clock. There's going to be decent sun, and that's when the temperature will hit 20. Chance of rain a bit higher than it has been, but nothing threatening. Uh, and all in all, with that gentle breeze, it's going to be all right. Not a bad day. And tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be exactly the same, except it's a bit chillier. 18 degrees tomorrow. And the scattered cloud, we could see some rain tomorrow. Yeah, some rain could come by. So if you're going to be, if you want to pile into Brighton or Eastbourne or whatever, do take a little something to save you from the rain. Oh, hello. Yeah, there we are. We haven't gone live yet, so we better go live. Ready to go live. There we go. Yes, it's only just so that you can peek into us in the studio. Um, all right, okay. Where are we at 7:57? We are in the White Hart Hotel. We have the lovely Jane looking after us this morning. She's made a very nice cup of coffee. When I got in, everything was ready for me, ready to plug in, and away I go. Even then, I pulled a Demanio. We were about 3 minutes late on the air this morning. But there we go. You can't have everything, can you? You know, we looked at the back pages, I mean, the front pages of the newspapers. Let's look at the back page. Um, uh, in the test. And we were doing quite well in the cricket. And Jack Leach confessed last night that he didn't realise his freakish dismissal of Henry Nicholls on the first day of the third test was legitimate. Nicholls trudged off just before tea at Headingley after a thudding straight drive ricocheted off the bat of Darrell Mitchell at the non-striker's end and into the hands of the fielder. Okay, Emma to play. Emma Raducanu, White Hope. I said White Hope. I'm using old phrases. No, I don't mean anything by it. Is we Emma Raducanu was said to be, having panic attacks and so on. And she's only 19 or 20, for God's sake, thrown into the spotlight. But she seems like a very pleasant young lady and one that we wish well to. Right, cricket is a silly old game. How do we end the day? 228 for 5 we ended. And nobody reached 78 was the best score for the New Zealanders. But this poor chap, he's outscored of his own pal. Oh dear. Now somebody is saying, as a sun-baked Western terrace rose to its feet and roared in approval at Stuart Broad's dismissal of New Zealand captain Kane Williamson, it felt like any other Headingley test. But a few crowds make more of such big moments, and as the Western dwellers jumped, bounced, and clapped in unison with Broad, the scoreboard read 62 for 3. The dial track a pre-lunch high of 28 degrees, and the ransom cloud, the racism cloud that has been held over the Yorkshire club, briefly forgotten. Oh, it's far too down. I hate it when they put in headlines and then don't tell you what the hell it's all about until halfway through. Not good journalism, in my view. There we are. Oh my. Let's see. Leeds Rapina after his vital last day goal at Brentford. So there's a bit of football news. Um, then we get to the business news. That'd be great. I was cut open and they took all my insides out, inspiring rugby star Andrew Fenby on his recovery from cancer. And Harry now wants to make a difference. Right, okay. Well, we're looking for features, so not a hell of a lot of news um, from the actual pitch. Uh, so that's the stuff for the back pages. And if you're a back page, you like the sports bit. There it is. What's the time now? Oh, it's six. It's 8:01. 8:01. Let's play a little more music, shall we? Uh, I like this one actually. Down with your get up by the Mini Vandals. Yeah, let's have a little go at that. Down with your get up from the Mini Vandals, and you're listening to Rouser Radio. We only do three-quarters of an hour in the morning just to get you ready for Mirador Television, which comes on at 8:30 and goes through till 11:30. And it has a variety of things. Nobody ever knows what's going to happen, and it's designed that way. It's designed like an old BBC program called Pebble Mill at One, where it was Pebble Mill at One always broadcast out of the atrium at Edgbaston. I don't think those studios are there anymore, but you walk in and you would be in the middle of a television program, and that's the idea behind Mirador from the Affairs from the Heart. The first hour we are a bit more serious, not a lot. But it's all good fun. And this morning we should have Melissa Conti from New York, letting us know what's happening over there. And also, it is with any luck, we'll have the return of Stephen Catlin. Stephen was a stalwart of Mirador for a number of years, and then became mayor, and because of conflict of interest, had to dump us, as it were. But he'll be back, and if anybody knows where the bodies are buried, it's Stephen. So a couple of things that are going to happen today, and hopefully one or two more bits and pieces as we go along. Hey, hey, hey! Ah, well, it's 8:05, is it? I better put my spectacles on. 8:05. It's 8:06. Oh, goodness gracious me. So only 4 minutes left. Five, well, a bit longer, 10 minutes. So basically, we are not very happy with the unions this morning. Indeed, we are not. And it's amazing how selfish we've all become. We really have become very, very selfish as a nation. The only thing is, I think that it's probably replicated around the world. It, it is not nice to wallow in other people's misery, but that's what the exactly what the unions are doing. Oh, we'll wait until the summer holidays and then we'll have a go at them. Yeah, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Well, I don't have summer holidays. I don't have time for them and I don't have the money for them. So you're not inconveniencing me. But you are an awful lot of people who work very hard and have worked hard throughout the pandemic who want to go on holiday. And what you're saying is, screw you. We're going to stop you. All in our own interest. In our own interest. And that's what's wrong with our bloody community today. Our society is it's all about me, 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 me. And believe me, if you keep that up, there will be an explosion. And when those sort of explosions occur, what happens is it isn't the cream that comes out of the top, it's the chancer, the adventurer. And you then find out who or what it's like to be in charge and to be led by somebody who is less than worried about you and what you're doing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's just Keith carrying on. Mark my words. Mark my words. You are leading us to a very uncomfortable situation. And if we get back to the 1970s, is I, for one, would want to pack my bags and go somewhere else, not live in this country anymore. It was horrific, but of course, most people, and particularly those who are in charge of the unions, and those who are beating the drum and moaning about their hard lot, and how much they need to keep the cost of living going and have their two VTUs or CVUs or TVUs or whatever the hell they're called, and to be able to have their wives go down to the coffee shop and sit and do knitting and moan and chat and gossip. Yes, you didn't experience the 1970s. Well, I'll tell you, a summer of discontent is the most miserable situation that you can possibly be in. In 1976, that's exactly what we had. A miserable, miserable, miserable situation. And you want to return to that? Do so. But don't expect, because what happened was it laid the groundwork for Margaret Thatcher to take on the unions and win. You want that again? Yeah, go right ahead. See, you don't bother about history, do you? You don't put things into context. No, it's what I want now. Stand my little foot. I don't know what I want, but I want it now. Yeah, miserable lot. Miserable lot. Train in Seaford station yesterday morning, in which nobody could get on because it was going to Littlehampton non-stop. Why? Because that's where it was supposed to be. Common sense would have said well, if I'm going to Littlehampton, we'll just stop the train at each stop that it would have. No, can't do that. Can't do that because it's part of the strike action, part of the union. Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. However, the England cricketers are doing quite well. I don't see them going on strike much before the end of this particular test. Mm. It's funny. At the beginning of the year, they were everybody's enemy. Well, not enemy, but everybody saw them as losers. They couldn't actually bowl an over that wasn't thrashed for six. How quickly that can change. Now we've got a new vital team, much the same people, But a vitality, scoring runs left, right, and centre, taking wickets left, right, and centre, they're all pretty damn good. And that's very, very encouraging. We don't have to switch on the telly or look at the score and say, oh no, not again. No, we don't. Cricketers are doing very well. Thank you, cricketers. We really appreciate it. It's 11 minutes past 8. Let's have a little kind of a party. I like this one too. I like that kind of a party. Yeah, I do. It's that's the mini vandals again. They do some good stuff. These mini vandals, I quite like them. That's why I keep them on the list, I guess, to play their stuff. And there's other stuff I've noticed in the library. So I'm pulling some stuff down to play, and it's very nice. Thank you, mini vandals. Okay, it's 14 minutes past 8. We disappear now because we need about 10 minutes or so to get ready for Mirador Television, which comes on in 15 minutes or so at 8:30. And it's the last of the week. Hopefully, we will have Melissa Conti on from New York, and we'll have Stephen Catlin in. And that's good news. Let's go to our Ben sound buddy, the familiar sound of us in the morning. Do join us on Monday. We look forward to having you. Till then, toodle pip.